What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another installment of the Never Seen It series. This is where I give you my thoughts and opinions about movies I've never seen before in my entire life. Do I love them? Do I hate them? But most importantly, do I recommend them to you? There's always a best of the batch and there's always a worst. Everything else kind of just falls in between. So if you're brand new here on my channel and you love and adore physical media and everything to do with movies, then hit that red subscribe down below, as well as that like button, but most importantly, that small notification bell, so you don't miss any videos like this in the future. Now, my small stack next to me, I wasn't watching a whole lot of Never Seen It, but my small stack next to me mainly comprised of horror movies left over from the month of October, you know, the 90 movies and 30-day challenge. I did not succeed with that. I was very close, but I did not. So mainly horror films and one non-horror. So just let you know what we're dealing with. And I'm going to try to get through this fairly quickly. So what was the number one movie that was my favorite? Christine, John Carpenter's Christine. Now, I'll be honest, until a couple of years ago, I did not even realize that John Carpenter directed this film, but I should have known. It's a great, fantastic movie, and that's why it was my favorite watch. I mean, it kept up a great pace. I was never bored with it. Entertaining the entire time. I love the acting for what kind of movie this was. I wasn't expecting Oscar performances because it's not like that. It's a horror movie, but great acting. I like the transition of the, I'll just say the boy, the kid that owned Christine. I don't remember his name, but I liked his transition from good to evil or being bad. I thought that was very convincing. I thought he did a great job with it. But my favorite part was when we got back to the garage towards the end of the movie and Christine kind of just like busts out of the mound of tires. I don't think anyone knew that was going to occur when this film first came out. Major jump scare. I didn't know Christine was there, so that was pretty awesome. That's definitely the best scene in the movie for me. But overall, it's a great, fantastic film directed by a fantastic director that is one of my personal favorites. So there we go. I finally watched Christine and I loved it. I can't believe it took me so long to watch that. Racetrack. Okay. Let's move on next to Jeepers Creepers. My friend Tony sent this my way a couple of years ago. Finally watched it, Tony. I promised I would, and I did. So Jeepers Creepers. This one is interesting. You have Justin Long. I don't know the actress's name that plays his sister, but they give off a very strong couple vibe. Like, you would think that they are boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm sure I'm not the first person to mention that, but they do kind of ride that line just a little bit, which is kind of creepy and weird in itself. But this movie is the definition of bad choices and dumb decisions, because if you are driving by and you see this person looking kind of creepy in a van, taking out, it looks like a body wrapped up in a sheet with a bunch of blood on it and shoving that down a tunnel into the ground, you don't go there. You don't go there. You don't go back. You keep moving forward. You go to the nearest police station. You tell them about it. And they go and check it out because they have guns and they have weapons. I would never do what these people did in this movie. Bad choices and dumb decisions. But it's a horror film, so what do we expect? I expect nothing less than bad choices. The Creeper's interesting. I will say that like one real good close-up shot that we get of his face is like, whoa, like what's going on there? Very, very interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's really not too much to say about this film. I enjoyed it. It didn't blow my mind, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a very simple horror movie, very simple story. The ending is like, whoa, like a little bit shocking. Justin Long is a great horror movie actor. I know he's been, I believe, in three or four horror movies, and he's great in all of them. I know he's known for comedy, but he's great in horror movies as well. So I look forward to seeing him in more in the future, but I enjoyed Jeepers Creepers. I know the director has a lot of scandal wrapped around his name, so I don't really want to dive too much into this. It's a shame. I've heard the sequels to this are not, up to par with the original, because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to explore with this villain, and unfortunately, it's just the Creeper's not getting his due. So I guess that's unfortunate, but I enjoyed the movie for what it was. The sound was very low, and unfortunately there was no closed captioning with that movie for some reason, so that is a negative, I do have to say. All right, my one non-horror movie choice, and I watched this a couple of nights ago, and that is Fall. This is also bad choices and dumb decisions, but it's not a horror movie. Talk about these two girls right here, adrenaline junkies, if you will. Right in the beginning of the movie, brunette right here, has a tragedy happen to her, which prevents her from, climbing and doing dangerous activity. Her best friend, Blondie, over here, trying to convince her, I'm going up the 4th largest tower or whatever. I want you to come with me. We're going to face our fears and blah, blah, blah. And like all this, peer pressure bullshit. So she willingly goes up there. She's scared for her life. What ends up happening? The stairs fall off. They have no way of getting down. They lose their little bit of supplies that they do have. And they do have cell phones. But of course there's no service, obviously. Even though they could probably touch the sky at this point, there is no service. So they're pretty much screwed. And they're trying to figure out the best way possible. How are we going to get out of the situation? The only reason that this movie did not make the worst is because it does have... My Worst is a really bad movie, number one. But this movie does have a twist in it that I did not see coming. That was like, whoa, like out of nowhere completely. And when that can happen to me, I will give you kudos. I will give you credit for that. But other than that, you don't need to pick up this movie at full price. Definitely wait for a sale, possibly maybe a Black Friday deal when it goes down. But I wouldn't pay any more than $10 for this. I honestly wouldn't. It's just an okay film. The CGI in the beginning, kind of wonky. So, it's not a must-have. You can wait on this one, wait for a sale. Or stream it when it comes to streaming. I don't know where it would come. Who did this? Lionsgate. So I'm not really sure what streaming service that would go to, but I would definitely wait on it. All right, next one up. Pure nostalgia. And I probably haven't seen it in 20 years before a couple of nights ago. And that is My Boyfriend's Back. Oh my gosh. I remember watching this. This is the definition of stupid, cheesy fun. This is the definition. This teenager right on the front in high school, he's been in love with the same girl since they were 5 years old, and all he wants to do is take her to the prom. Unfortunately, he gets killed, but his love is so strong for her that he comes back as a zombie. And he still wants to take her to the prom. This movie is ridiculous. But you know what? It's entertaining. I was laughing the whole time. I was enjoying myself. And I also realized that Matthew McConaughey is in this movie. That's probably the first thing he ever did with like a screen credit. I don't know. I got to IMDb his information. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. Because I believe the last time I saw this, I didn't know who Matthew McConaughey was. Otherwise, I would have already known that. So My Boyfriend's Back, like I said, definition of pure cheesy fun. If you like movies like that, pure entertainment, go for it. I picked it up during the Kino Lorber sale. I think I paid $8.99 for it, so it was worth it. Under $10, pick it up. All right, here is a sequel. Love the original. Not so much of the sequel. So The Strangers Pray at Night. Okay, so I can respect the fact that they wanted to do a sequel. They were trying to do something different. They made it more of a family unit with parents and children. They put it in a different environment. It's more like at a resort than at a private home. But it just didn't work for me. Yes, there were moments of intensity, especially when the father is in the vehicle and the guy, in the middle of the mask gets in the... I can't even imagine being trapped inside of a car with your murderer getting in right next to you. That's intense. Like, that was an intense moment. I will give credit for that. But there were just some, they killed off the mom so quick. It was in, the first 15 minutes of the movie. I'm like, geez, mom's gone. It was just so... It felt like this movie just went so quickly. Where the first film, it built that tension. Granted, you only had two main characters and the three strangers that we're working with. But I don't know, it just, they built the tension throughout the first movie, where this one, it just felt like, okay, let's get to the next kill, next kill, next kill. Like, let's get this done and wrap it up in a bow. Like, it was just very fast, like too fast and too quickly paced. So I think that was the issue and the problem, but I mean, it's okay. It's just okay, but it's not up to the level of the first movie. I enjoyed the first movie much more. Liv Tyler is still in my memory in that movie because her performance was so great. Whereas in this film, not so much. So if that tells you anything, that tells you something. It's not good. It's not bad. It's in between. What could I say? All right. Blade trilogy. So I've seen original Blade, obviously. So we're talking about 2 and 3. So Blade 2, really enjoyed it. I did not know Guillermo del Toro, I said his name correctly, that's great, directed this movie. Usually when you think of him, I think Oscar-nominated movies. I did not think he did Blade 2. So that was interesting. What I loved about Blade 2, tons of action. It was never boring. And were they vampire? I think they were vampires. But like the creatures that their faces opened up, I mean, that's unique. Never seen anything like that before. So I will definitely give credit for that, for the uniqueness of those creatures. But I still enjoyed the first Blade more. I feel like if the action of Blade 2 was in the first Blade, it would have been like crazy, insane, incredible. If you like morph those two movies together, that would have been the perfect Blade movie. And I'm leaving out Blade Trinity because you know why. It's not good. Blade Trinity is not a good movie. And the reason being for that, I'm putting the blame on Ryan Reynolds for being in this movie, because Ryan Reynolds' character is the same Ryan Reynolds character he plays again and again and again. And that is, you know, the comedic, the snarky comedic. Comedy doesn't belong in a Blade movie. You don't need the sense of humor going on in a Blade film. So that's where I just did not appreciate that. I like comedy thrown in here and there, but not in a Blade movie. That's not where you put it. Jessica Biel, I mean, she wasn't like the best, but I would take her over Ryan Reynolds any day of the week in this movie. If it was just Blade, Jessica Biel, and maybe one or two other characters, and that was it, it would have been better. I feel like there was too many side characters, like the team that he was working with. There was too many things going on, too many people, too many side characters. Parker Posey as the leader of the vampires. I didn't believe her as a vampire. Like, I don't know. She's just done too many, like, comedy. She's done too much comedic stuff. Where to see her as this, it's laughable. So it just wasn't good. Blade Trinity or Blade 3, whatever you want to call it, is not good. And that's unfortunate because that's the last Blade film that we've received. Obviously, we're supposed to get one for the MCU, but who even knows when that's coming out? So to end your trilogy with that one is disappointing. So I enjoyed Blade 2, not so much Blade 3. And I think everyone can agree on that, right? We can all agree. Okay. Moving on next to Invasion of the Body Snatchers on 4K. First of all, very nice transfer, I must say. Second of all, wow, that twist at the end. That was great. That was great. Highly entertaining. I mean, this is a classic horror film. I think you all know what this movie is about. Pod people taking us over while we're sleeping. Oh my gosh, the entire concept is just so frightening. But I loved watching it. Can't believe it's my first time watching a horror classic like this, but it was great. I believe this is the remake, right? There is another one that is the original, but this is the remake. But I highly enjoyed it. And I do recommend Jeff Goldblum's in here, Donald Sutherland. They put in fantastic performances. Great all around. Nothing bad to say about it. Pick it up. Pick it up if you have not seen it. I am endorsing Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Okay. All right. Let's get into this. I know I'm probably going to upset some people. Nightmare franchise. Okay, so before I upset you guys, I don't hate the whole franchise, but I will say Freddy is on the bottom of my horror icon list because I feel like the franchise is so inconsistent. And what I mean by that is we start off really strong with Nightmare on Elm Street. That is clearly the best movie of the franchise. Wes Craven directing, he wrote it, he created everything. Nancy is there, obviously. We got Johnny Depp. I mean, that movie is great. Even I love it. I enjoy it. We dip down a little bit with part 2. A smidge. It doesn't live up to the first, but, you know, sequels, they rarely do. 3 comes back very strong. Nancy is back. We have Patricia Arquette as a main character, so that enhances the movie right there because she's very talented. So Dream Warriors, I know a lot of people love it. I enjoyed it too. So we're pretty much, you know, we're thinking the same way. 4 and 5 are mediocre to me. They're very mediocre, middle of the road. And they're both like Scream 3 to me, like how I feel about Scream 3. Like that would be at the bottom of my Scream rank. These ones are so-so. Then we have the one I hate, which is Nightmare 6. I'm just calling it Nightmare 6. I know it's Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, but Nightmare 6 is just horrible. There's so many things about it. The bad acting, the bad writing, the bad story, like everything is horrible about this movie. When you have Roseanne and Tom Arnold in your movie, you know something is really wrong. Something's really wrong and really bad about this film. Plus, on top of everything, having Freddy Krueger riding a bicycle outside of a window like the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, that says everything you need to know right there. I mean, that is just horrible. So Nightmare 6 is the movie I hate out of this franchise and out of all of these movies I just shared with you. So that's the one I would toss across the room if it was not in a box set. Just to let you guys know. That's the movie I hate. I think a lot of people hate that movie. So let's move on to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I did enjoy this one. I liked how it was different than all the other movies in the franchise. Extremely meta. Like, very meta before, like, meta was a thing, I think, or around the same time. But, wow. Okay, so that was good. That would be my top 4. And then Freddy vs. Jason. I enjoyed Freddy vs. Jason way more than Nightmare 4, 5, and 6. I would put Freddy vs. Jason in my top 4 of the Nightmare franchise. What does that say? I honestly really don't mind that movie. Is that horrible? Is that like weird to say? But yeah, because the franchise is so inconsistent, Freddy is not one of the horror icons that I would put at the top of my list. He's definitely towards the bottom. He's underneath Chucky, unfortunately. Like, he's really down low at the bottom, but I'm sorry, guys. I got to be truthful and I have to be honest. I'm not going to chuck this across the room. I'm just going to place it down heavily over there. So that is everything that I've been watching lately. Let me know down below your opinion about any of these movies and what have you been watching lately. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time.